Okay, everyone. We are back again. Liz is back, and I'm back myself on my end. Thank you, Liz, for the opportunity for you and I to meet again and have another discussion. How is everything over there in Colorado?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for hosting me again. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your support, and thank you everyone who came to my channel, visited my channel, left a comment, subscribed, watched some of my content. I appreciate you all.
Yeah, before we continue, I remind people again, you have to go to Liz's channel, and I'm going to put on the description here so that you can be able to subscribe. And it is youtube.com/rollwithliz, but I'm going to put the link on the description so that you can be able to go and learn. The best way of learning is to learn from people who have experienced something. So today we'll be having a lot of topics to share. We'll be asking, I ask, and you can ask similar related questions, and we can share our experiences so that people can be able to give what they are when they come here. They can be able to relate or to go from there. So maybe I can start with the first question on your end. What has been the biggest shock, something you didn't expect to find in America when you came here and it was become like part of the big cultural shock?
I'll say there's so much, but like I said, always we just bring you bits and bits of everything. But I'll say living without close family and friends. So you've moved away from your people. Firstly, I will introduce myself. So hello guys. So I'm from Uganda, and now originally born and raised in Uganda, but now I live in America. So I think it's general, once you move away from your motherland, from where you have your friends from school, from your family, you become a little bit lonely, not in a way that you're so lonely, but you don't have the physical contact with your friends, with your family that you have grown up with. So it is something that you have to learn to be so independent and not get so lonely and depressed. So what I do, I'm always on social media. That is the reason I started my YouTube channel. I am all over the place, and that keeps me in touch with my family back home. So not being able to have that family support from home and, miss your friends. I think that was the first one, which I experienced in the first month. And like I said, I managed it by keeping in touch with them through social media. So if you have moved away and you're living in a diaspora, it doesn't matter if you're living in the US or you're living in, as long as you're far from your family, from your motherland, from your country where you're born and raised, just always try to keep in touch. Use these social media platforms. Don't keep it to yourself, because it's hard, it's difficult to adjust. So that's what I do.
Yes, for me it was a little bit different because when I came, there was no much of the social media. I mean, Facebook was starting, and at the time of Facebook, you were not able to make a call. So if you have to make a call to your family, you have to buy minutes for international call. That's how we started. And very few people have Skype. Yeah, so it was different. But the biggest shock for me was to find the reality of poverty also in America, that there are poor white people, poor Americans in general. Because yes, we have seen in the movie, but that is a movie. How can you trust the movie? We know it's Hollywood. We have seen, I had roommates, friends who were exchange students. They say, oh, we have poverty in America. I said, no, you're just saying that so that you cannot come to your country. But the moment you walk, because I was, for 1 week, I was in San Francisco at Stanford University before I went to the university I was teaching in West Virginia. So first of all, homelessness in California is higher, very, very high. Then I went to West Virginia, is the poorest, among the poorest states, very, very poor. So you find American asking, begging you for cents, just like 2 quarters, 50 cents. And if you give that person, you say, thank you, sir. I mean, it was surprising, but sometimes I felt good that, okay, all people are equal. And there was just, I had it, sometimes you give $1 there, so thank you, sir. Thank you. So, but that was a very big challenge. How comes you in America and you are poor? That for me was a big shock. And you know for sure you can get a job for minimum wage, like $10, $12. Why this person cannot go into work? So it was a very big challenge. But down the road, I understand, like, not everybody doesn't want to work. There are some people, they go with so many things, why they can be homeless, why they cannot be able to work, or other factors. There are so many factors. But overall, poverty is a poverty. Sometimes it's mental, and it's not just the matter of because we're in America, we have everything will be that way. And because we're in Africa, you have to be poor. No, there are very rich people in Africa. It's the matter on how you are good. So for me, it took a little bit longer to understand and capture and grab that concept of poverty and comparing Africa and here. That was a big one for me.
Right. Yeah. I think for me, because it was partly a shock, but the biggest challenge is if you're here, if you're like in the US or in Europe, where winter comes and summer comes, the weather is harsh. So if you're on the street and you have no house, you can almost lose your life. I think so many people die because you don't have housing. And it is different in Uganda or in Africa, because in Uganda, you can stay on the street. If you're not killed physically by a car accident or by somebody, you can survive because the weather is favorable. It is not going to be too cold. It is not going to be too hot. So you can stay on the street and you survive. So here it is actually really, really tough if you don't have housing. So yeah. And the next thing I'll say was the most shocking was how everyone has to work. It is very capitalistic, and whether, you know, like how they give you 2 weeks or 1 month of maternity leave, that was a very shock to me. I was like, how do they expect you to go back and work after 1 month of child? You've just given birth to a child. And because mostly in Uganda, they give you 6 months, you know, you can even call and say, I'm still sick, I would like to have 1 month, and they still pay you. So I was used to that kind of mentality until I came here. And now, and now after coming here, I'm thinking twice about getting another child, because I'm like, if I'm to get pregnant and have another child, that means I will put my career on hold. I'll put everything on hold. There's no way you can give birth, have 2 children, then go to work, come back. You just have to plan.
Yes. Speaking of that, I wanted to add something on that. Is something people usually, I don't know whether they have asked you, for me, I've been asked, oh, can you help me find a job even to become a nanny or just to become cleaning somewhere? So you are in America. With your income, are you able to employ someone to be full-time for you to be taking care of your child?
I would say if no and yes. It depends on your priorities. Now, for me, I want to save something. I want to save something because here in America, you have to save. You cannot work and spend all the money you're earning. You can do that in Uganda, but you may not be able to do it here. So I would say I wouldn't say I can employ somebody fully in my house to take care of my child. I work from home. I take care of my toddler, who is 2, and I do everything. I cook. My husband comes and helps me. There's nothing like expecting so much help from here. You must be hands-on to survive. So I wouldn't say I can afford to pay somebody to fully take care of my child or fully take care of my house, and like how it is in Uganda, full-time nanny. It's not, like I said, you may be able to earn as much and support, but as for me, I think it's also okay to, you know, save a little bit. You don't have to spend all the money you earn, because the same money I get is almost the same amount I'm going to pay the nanny. So why would I do that? I'm not going to start working and give my child to somebody else to take care of, and I pay them all the money I'm earning. Doesn't make sense. So it's very expensive. You cannot afford a full-time nanny if you don't have a very good job or you have worked for a long time and you've saved up enough money. So I can't say I can afford a nanny.
Yeah,
maybe now and again.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can be okay. Today, just one day, couple days, you have something to do, or you are very extremely tired, both you and your husband, but not like you full like in Africa. Like, I mean, here is very expensive. You might end up, yes, you are going to get one job, and you take the full amount of money, you pay another person remaining with your $100. So why are you going to work? So better you stay with your child yourself.
Yes, then why are you going to work if you can actually take care of your child? So yeah, it is challenging. That is it.
That's why for me, we have 3 kids. So we decided, both my wife and I, so because in the end, if you have 2 kids, let's put them in daycare, let's say you're talking about almost 3,000 to 4,000. So where are you going to get all that money? So in the end, we said, so for her, she'll be able to support taking care of the kids while we are using one income for me to work, because staying with the kids full time in America is more than going to work. It's another, because you are responsible 100%. There is no neighbor coming to help your child. There is no uncle. There is no somebody. No, it's just you and your child. So that is another big challenge usual when we have to face. Another question is partly related to culture. Let's go to the food wise. For the 2 years you have been here, what food, American food, you don't like at all, or you cannot stand it, you cannot even eat up to that moment, like?
So so many people here eat cheese. Like every now and again you have food and then they bring cheese and they have all these types of cheese. They have Parmesan, they have all this type of cheese. So I tried, because I always like to explore and learn new things, learn new foods. I tried to eat cold cheese and my body didn't like that. So me and cheese, unless it's really warm, you know, the one that is you can heat up. So I can eat some of that, but I'm not so much into cheese. I think that's the common thing that people here eat, and I don't.
Cheese is like matoke in Uganda here. It's just like a basic thing for them.
Yes, and even on pizza, when we order pizza, I tell my husband, oh, if I'm calling, I'm the one ordering for the pizza, I tell them to do less cheese, because that's too much cheese. And I read and I'm reading and I'm like, it's not even healthy. So I'm glad I don't like it.
Yeah. For me, there are still so many food I don't eat. Pizza I don't eat. Cheese is only one type of cheese, which is yellow American cheese. And the funny part is, so any other type of cheese I don't eat. So one day, for instance, my wife, so there is a big bowl of cheese. So she left it on the table. She went to sleep, so I had to help to put in the fridge and everything. So I said, let me taste. It tastes so bad, so I had to throw away. So in the morning, what is my cheese? I said, oh, it tastes so bad, so I put it in the trash. I said, no, that is the taste of cheese. I said, no. So for me, I assume cheese must taste like yellow American cheese, and it must be on cheeseburger. Not any other thing. And I remember one day I was flying, so I was in Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam, so I asked the burgers. So obviously, for me, cheese must be yellow American cheese. So I asked, is this American cheese you put there? And the person said, yes, it's cheese from America. No, I mean American cheese is a type. So yes, it's a cheese from America. So for them, like in Netherlands, any cheese from America is American cheese. But here, American cheese is just one type of cheese. So there are so many things like macaroni and cheese I don't eat. So there are so many things I don't eat. The good thing, I like to cook, and I've been, like, since we are growing up, men and women must cook, wash dishes. We did everything, like there is no women. So for me, even my house here, I can say I'm 95% the person who is cooking at my house. And it reaches a point I don't trust people to cook my food. Like, it just like there are certain things I'm okay, but I like to cook myself, my food, or any other person wants to eat. Yeah. So that is another challenge. Still on the food wise, a lot of things let them go. So
yeah. And
by cooking yourself, it helps you to save a lot than if you have to be purchasing like most of the food out, like restaurant and all other kind of things.
Right. And then another funny, you've just talked about how funny it was when you threw away the cheese. Another funny part, so, you know, growing up, we did not have microwaves. Well, I think we had it at some point at, you know, at our house, my auntie was a banker, so we were not doing so bad. We had a microwave at some point, but we were not allowed to use it. So it was sitting there. And because of the way she took health matters so important, she didn't let us use that microwave so much. So I would watch it, would sometimes use it, not so much. So when I just come, the first few weeks, we were at my mother-in-law's house, and they bought me that breakfast burrito. You know how they pack them? I didn't want to eat it at the moment. I said, I'll keep it in the fridge. I'll warm it a bit later, and then I'll have it. So once I was ready to eat, I got it out. I did not take off that paper. How do they call that? Silver thing.
The aluminum foil, the foil.
The foil. So I just pushed it into the microwave and I started it, and the whole house was almost on fire. I was so embarrassed. I did not know what I had done. Now, I was very lucky that everyone was in the house at that moment, because if I was the only one in the house, I would have just run away. I would have just been like, what's going on? And then the house would have probably caught fire. So I just had a big sound, boom. And of course, it was because of the paper, it was metal, and apparently you can't use metal in the microwave. I did not know all that science. So that was a big shock. I said, hey, so these things are dangerous like this. And then another thing was, I had never really seen people celebrate Halloween.
Yeah.
I had never seen people celebrate Halloween like people do here. In Uganda, we know about it, we can read about it. You know how it is now, the world is changing. People know things, but we don't celebrate Halloween. So one time, we had just shifted to the new house where we are now, and the neighbors started decorating. They put skeletons, they put a coffin, they put so many of these scary things. Now, one time I'm outside cleaning the compound, and I look around and I look at the neighbor. They had put a big coffin in front of their house at the door. So now I look at I thought somebody had died. So I was so touched. These are nice neighbors. They're really nice. They say hi. So I was like, should I go there and say, sorry, condolences? Tell them my condolences? Should I go there and knock? No. This was so funny. In the evening, when my husband came, because he had gone to work. So when he came back, I said, before you go in the house, I found him in the car. I told him, before you go in the house, let's go and say sorry to these people. They lost somebody. There's a big coffin at the doorstep. He looks over there and he says, honey, that is a decoration for Halloween. Now, I thank God I did not go there. Now imagine if I had knocked on the door to say, who has died? I'm sorry, you have lost somebody. It was just Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things here. It takes time, it takes years to learn. And even the more you stay here, the more you keep learning. That is very interesting. Like, one of the things for me, I came from Africa knowing WWE, the wrestlers, that is just the real, how John Cena is in the ring, The Rock, everybody, they're doing the same thing is true. So I came here and my dream was I have to attend in one of the arena, I have to go. So WWE came to my city in West Virginia. So there is one Anglican pastor, lived in Tanzania is American. So usually wherever Tanzanian come there, so he's just like kind of adopting, you just become like a family friend. So every week you have to meet with him. He's learning Swahili. And so I was saying like, this is my dream, so I have to go to check it. And so do you know that is fake? That was the most disappointment I had in America. What, like, I was growing up, like, from that day up to today, I don't watch WWE, like, unless others, maybe it's just a clip coming there, but I don't go, like, I let him go and watch, like, no. And the day I was leaving to go to California, he had to say, I'm so, among the things I think I was supposed not to tell you is it's just like a child telling Santa is not real. That was like how shocking it was. Like, so like, I said, how, like they have the script and knowing that they practice and the person is going to lose, like everything is, why? I thought it's just like boxing. So from that moment, yeah, that was the most disappointing part for me. Okay, another topic I have to ask you is about, apart from just like the culture, like how you start the life, most of your work up to this moment is working from home, right? Before the COVID, were you going to the building, or all the time have you been working from home?
I've always worked from home because the fact that I have a child at home, I wanted to just kind of juggle the two, have the child and also work.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you, what is the difference between working in the building, like kind of like the culture, like how you expected, but overall, but what is the expectation for the work here, professionalism versus expectation to professionalism in Uganda and Tanzania? Uganda and Tanzania is more or less the same, or Kenya is almost the same. How does it, what was the change, or what has been the major difference for you, the shift you have seen working in Uganda and now working in American workforce?
Okay, so first of all, in Uganda, most of the jobs pay salary, and that is what I was used to. Like, you wait for your money at the end of the month, you're salaried. And most of the jobs here, they pay you per hour. You can also get a job where they pay you salary, but that is not very common, but it is also available. So for me, the job I do, they pay me per hour. And that means every minute counts. You cannot miss 1 minute. You cannot miss 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You must explain why you are not on the computer. So for me, that was also something new I had to learn. If it is, so usually I begin my work at 10 and end at 4 p.m. So by 10, I must have logged into the computer. Otherwise, it will show that I was late by 5 minutes, by 1 minute, by 2 seconds. So that is something I had to train myself, that time management is key with these jobs. Time management is key, and honesty. If something is going wrong, you must report to the supervisor. You must tell this. You cannot go around the corner like it is in Uganda and just say, well, I was having lunch and the glass broke and, I hurt my leg. You must be able to prove. For them, all they want is proof. You must provide proof that something happened. So that was a big change. I had to know that every minute counts, every hour counts, because in Uganda, my former job, I usually had a break time of 1 hour. Lunchtime, 1 hour. And my lunchtime right now here is 30 minutes. I only have one break, which is 10 minutes throughout the day. And I have a toddler in the background. So you have to have that hustle mind. Like I said in the previous video, you must be ready to make a living. So that's how it is. So the difference was you must time management, and then they pay you per hours compared to how I was paid salary back home. And yeah, basically that's it. That was the major difference. Other than that, as long as you're bringing output, you're able to work. The work is it's not too bad, I would say.
The follow-up question on that. If at the time you were in Uganda, and maybe let's say you are working in the bank, you are working in Uganda Revenue Authority or Social Security Fund of Uganda, obviously those are high status job kind of that, or you are working in the Attorney General office with your education, work experience. Did you think when you are coming to America, I'm giving an example, you might start with the, I mean, even if they pay well, you might go and do the normal job, or you were thinking that if I go to America with my experience, I'm going to continue with where I left?
So I did business computing, so it is like business and IT. So I wasn't expecting to all of a sudden rise up and, you know, start working as a manager, no. But I thought I would have a job in a similar path, in a similar career. And that wasn't very possible, but, you know, you can build yourself over there, because since I hadn't had experience working in America, I had to start somewhere. You build yourself, your CV, you build your CV to prove that you're able to work here. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But also it's not too bad because the pay is not bad. So I'm really comfortable doing, I do customer service. So I like it for now because of the fact that I have my daughter in the background always. So I cannot afford to have a high-end job for now unless I switch and have somebody take care of her, and then I pay full attention to her.
Yeah. For me, when I came here, obviously the first job was very good because I came under scholarship to teach at the university. So that was 1 year. But even if I was teaching Swahili at the university, I used to work at the Pizza Hut in the student cafeteria. So people, they know this guy is a student, but down the road, like you are going there and you are like your professor, and they call you a professor, and I go, Professor Makudilo, Ernest, whatever. So I was doing that way. So, but when I moved from here, I mean, from West Virginia to California, obviously you continue with other jobs. So yes, as we're saying, even if I was already being in America and I was doing masters, you have masters, but still you have to go building up your resume. So I worked in the warehouses, I worked into restaurants, I worked like so many different kind of jobs until you become like a position of director. It takes time. So sometimes, yes, you have expectation that I will reach there, but you have to agree to go up as long as in the end you get money. Yeah, compared to in Africa, you cannot say, let me go to the restaurant, they will pay you $20 in a month or $50 in a month. Why should I waste my time with my degree? But here, I mean, I can have 2 jobs and do my hours here in the restaurant, then I go and do in the warehouse. Life goes better. Yeah. So
yeah, and talking about work, this is something, you know, some kind of funny bit also, just to compare the two. So when I started working here, I did not realize that the way they write their date of birth and their date is different from how we write it back home, and the way they pronounce their their alphabet is also different from how we pronounce them. So when I started working, you know, when you do customer service, you ask for their name, you ask them to spell their name, you ask them for their date of birth, you ask them for the date when they open their account. So all that details we ask. So one time, and you know, the call comes in and I'm asking them to spell their name, and their name had a Z, which we call a Z, but here in America it's a Z. So having that British background where we call the Z a Z, at first when he spelled it, I thought he was joking. So I said, could you say that again for me, please? And then, you know, let's say it's called maybe Zach, and says Z-A-C-H. And I said, I think this guy is joking. So I put him on hold. I put him on hold, and I had to figure out, like, why is he spelling it like this? Until it dawned on me as like, oh, this is how they say it, because we have a chat where you can ask, you know, in case you're confused or something. And they told me, no, that is it. And everyone was actually shocked that I was shocked because they don't understand. I am asking about a Z. That's a Z.
Yeah. Up to now, sometimes my kids make jokes on certain things, how I pronounce certain things. Like, so for instance, like how I say coach, how they say, like, for me, I say, I'm saying normal. I say, no, Baba, you are saying this way. But they got used to it, so.
Yeah. So those are the few things that you just have to adjust to. A few words here and there, but it's not too bad, especially if you already speak English. But it is just the difference. And you know how they write the date, they write the month.
Date,
yeah.
Yeah, for me, like the one confusing part, like coming from the British African background to America, I mean, measurements, how you go, you count the floor, how everything, elevator, lift, whatever, everything is different. So I was having an appointment with one person and he said, come to the first floor. So I went to the first floor. My mind is, this is the ground floor. We don't count this one. Then when you go, that is the first floor. So for me, I went to the first floor. In my mind, I was there. So I'm just waiting. It passed like 5 minutes. The person is calling me. Where are you? He said he's in first floor. I said, yes, I'm also in the first floor. Have you seen like this? I said, no, that is down. I mean, I explained where it is. I said, yeah, come there. I will find it. So he said, this is first floor. So because the person lived in Tanzania back in 79 to 81, so he knows like the challenge you are facing because he had those challenges. So there are certain things like measurements, like these kind of things, like we take it for granted sometimes, like, but after a while, like at the beginning, it's very, very confusing. For me, I don't like to work with customer service because there are certain things I block myself, like for instance, like counting money. So for me, I just started from quarter and above. This 10 cents, 5, whatever. I was confused when I found out there is one, I don't know, the dime, whatever they call them. The tiny one has high weight compared to the big size. I say, that doesn't make sense. So I say, I'm not dealing with it. So I cannot be a cashier somewhere because I'll mess up. So there are certain things I block my mind in. This is my weakness. I don't do that. Yeah, so.
I also don't know those coins, I don't know. But I know the notes, but the coins, I still get confused.
The only one for me is just, I know 25 cents because it's the biggest of all, 25 cents. If there are 4, is $1. If there are 2, is 50 cents. So if I have the coin, that's the coin I can hold. The rest, I don't want. And and the other thing, which it brings to another topic, we have accent. And especially like in Africa, a thick accent. Number one, people when they come here, I want them to understand one thing. When they say you have accent, don't take it negative. For us, sometimes we take it negative that they think that I do not know English. You see, it's just like, it's different from, for instance, I'm giving an example, in Uganda or Tanzania, if someone says you do not know English, is translating that you didn't go to school. Because the assumption is you know English if you go to school, but it doesn't mean that. So you come with that mindset. Oh, you have accent. Sometimes you feel defensive, even for themselves. Someone from California is having difficulty to understand someone from New York. So even themselves, they have their own difficulties to understand one another. A black person, if he's talking from Mississippi, someone from Chicago might not understand sometimes. So all those kind of things, they are there. So number one, forget about if someone say you have accent, don't be defensive. That's number one. Secondly, if they say, can you repeat? What do you mean? They want to understand because you might say something and someone doesn't understand, or because of your voicing, because of how you sound the things, or something else. For instance, my friend one day, he was at the cafeteria and he ordered sausage. So the person was selling, was a black guy. He said, sausage? There was no sausage on the area. So the person was so defensive, was upset. He showed the sausage. This is sausage. Oh, you mean hot dog? So what you call sausage, it's hot dog. So sometimes you might be so upset, but you are speaking two different things. So at the beginning, allow yourself to be around people. If they, and the good thing, they don't say that in a mean way. They want to understand. So be understanding, learn. If you don't understand, ask a question. That is one of the way of learning. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I will also say, when you live in a country like America or in Europe, wherever, you also have to know that people will not like you. So, for example, I work for a customer service, and I've come across people, even before you speak, they just don't like you. They just don't want to speak to you. And at first, that was a challenge for me, because I was like, why would someone not want to talk to me just because of the way I sound? But then it dawned on me as like, it's the way it is. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So some people will, and immediately introduce yourself, they hear your accent, and they just ask you to transfer them to somebody else. And it's okay. No offense, you just transfer them. But because I had never in my life, never ever seen anybody treat me like that, at first that was so hard to deal with. In fact, I remember talking to my husband and saying, maybe I should quit, maybe people don't like. And he said, no, you cannot quit, because how it is. Just learn how to brush them off. You don't know these people, they're not going down. First of all, you speak 6 languages. I only speak about 2. So that means you have more skill than I do. So take it positive that people who don't like you for your accent don't understand that it's your 3rd or 4th or 6th language. So just don't take it. And that helped me. So whenever people attack me for my accent, for whatever, in my mind, I'm like, well, you probably speak 1 language. I speak about 7. And because I speak 7, English is one of my languages I speak. So I cannot perfectly speak it the way you want. And, you know, we come from different backgrounds. So in your mind, you just have to be positive. Otherwise, the world is harsh.
I mean, that is a very good point you brought up, because some people, I mean, if you take it personal, there are some people they call customer service, they have never in their life talked to a person from who is not the native speaker of English. So for them, they don't understand. It's not about you. It's just they want to have better service. I mean, so sometimes that way. For instance, like when I came here, like when the Black people, when they talk, I didn't understand anything. Like they laugh and you laugh with them. Like, what are they saying? Like, for me, I was just like, when they talk, like, this is just like Tupac rapping. Like, what are they saying? I mean, it was nothing against them, but it was strange for me. It's just like this is just like hip hop or something like that. But for them, it's normal.
It's normal, yeah. It's better to always be positive. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, for instance, like if I make a call at the beginning and let's say African American at the beginning when I came here, I could not understand. So obviously I will ask to transfer to someone else. Obviously and especially when you meet someone who has traveled or has talked to somebody, it becomes easier for them at the beginning to understand. Like, and sometimes, like, let me give you another thing about customer service. So sometimes we have you call and you start talking to automatic computer. So sometimes you might be upset. Is this thing discriminatory? Why am I saying my name? This is the number. And say, wrong. Did you say this is correcting you? So that's the same thing to my wife. So it's like, so it's not only me. So even so you see, like sometimes like it gives a relief, like, so this is not just me. Sometimes it's a machine. You never know what is going to happen. Yeah. So those are they are very basic things we take it for granted, but at the beginning they can completely lower down your self-esteem. They can make you want to go to hang out with some people because you feel, what will they think about me? Why are you asking the second time?
Yeah.
Like, but still, it's just like assume American is talking Luganda or Swahili. I'll ask, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You say, I came tomorrow. That is not Swahili. Like, what do you mean? I will ask, but in a normal way to understand.
Yeah.
So there are all those kind of things like you don't need to to lower down our self-esteem, is just to be out there, to learn, and make sure that we be able to take it for granted. Yes, I mean, especially at our age, it's very difficult to completely transform our accent. But there are certain things obviously you have to change to say Z yourself, not Z anymore, because if you say Z, what is Z?
Even the way I talk on the phone, I cannot talk like the way I'm talking to you. I have to change it in a way that people will understand, because I get sick of people asking me a million times, what are you saying? What are you saying? So you have to be on their level and try to speak like them in order to communicate, because communication is two-way. You cannot only talk and the other person doesn't understand. It doesn't make sense. So when I'm working, you cannot know that it's Liz talking, because I have to change to make them understand. And trust me, for about 6 months since I learned that, I've never got a problem, because before I would ask them, what is your date of birth? And they'd be like, what? So now I know how to
shower, taking a bath.
So now I learned how to twist it, because I noticed I'm also, they're equally frustrated. It's just that it's up to me. I have to make them understand. So then I twist it again. And, now I know how to twist it. Now I know how to communicate. And I can totally speak like an American on the phone and speak like me when I'm off the phone, because my husband understands everything. So I don't have to be changed, to be fake around him and around a child or whoever. And people, as they live with you, they understand your accent. Like when I just first come, my parents-in-law had a hard time understanding me. Many times I would say something and they would say, what was that? But now we talk for an hour on the phone when I visit and nobody says, what was that? So that's a big improvement.
Yeah. Okay. That is another thing. Let's talk about relationships. One, which for me I see as an advantage, when you get married to someone from different culture and you live here, because in the end your communication becomes English. It's different. For instance, for me, if my wife is Tanzanian, at home obviously I'll be speaking Swahili, and if I go to work, you talk more about work. But if I come at home, it's just Swahili. But now it helps you or myself to improve English quicker, because you have to talk so many topics. You might talk politics, you might talk about religion, you might talk so many things, which in English. I usually tell people, like someone was questioning, why am I supposed to take the English proficiency test if I want to get masters in America? Well, I have a degree in English. I mean, I studied in English language. And I just tell you something, record it to me, 5 minutes, talk about Manchester United playing Liverpool in 5 minutes in English. Because many people will talk about English, but more bookish, more technical language. But we don't talk about sports, about love, about religion, just normal things in English. So the purpose is they want to see proficiency in different topics, not just academic. So for me, I'm thankful. Yes, by being in America, you speak English most of the time, but it will be different if I'm staying at home with him, just like I speak just when I'm going out for work, and at home is just normal English. I mean Swahili. That will be different. So I'm thankful for that. That's why for me, like when I want to write books, it's becoming easy, because it's the language I'm writing English quicker and faster compared to if I'm writing Swahili nowadays, if I want to write a book. Mm-hmm. So on that particular note, how does your life in terms of language, your husband, I know, yes, lived in Uganda at one point, so knows a little bit of some of the words and some of the culture, and you are from Uganda, but your child is both. So what language and what type of influence do you have, both of you, to your child?
Well, it's a bit challenging, because I don't have anyone that I can talk to in my local language so that she can pick up. And we teach her, of course, a few words. She knows how to greet. She knows how to say thank you in my mother tongue. She knows how to say good morning. She knows like a few words, but I wouldn't say she's like really good, like the way she speaks English, because first of all, it's hard to like just sit down and say, today we're going to learn. It's kind of hard. If it's a language, you must communicate. So if my husband spoke my language and we spoke the language around the house, that would help her catch a few words, which my husband, when he was in Uganda, he learned a different language from mine. So it's so complicated. He doesn't speak my language, but he speaks another local language from Uganda. So actually, our daughter speaks partly that language as well. So she knows a little bit of all, but majorly she speaks English. So it's, yeah, I think it will take time. But once she begins to speak and is going to school, I know that she will learn my language a little bit, just a few words, and that will help her whenever she visits Uganda.
Yeah, because I mean, what is she, I mean, is visiting back, just like meeting the elders, to know the greetings, those matters a lot. Yeah, compared to just go there, what's up, hi. Yeah, so for elders, that even if you don't have more conversation, they give you something, say thank you in the local language. Those are very, very meaningful. Yeah, it's a very big challenge. Myself, all my kids, they were, I mean, I don't know whether it's just more, not fluent, but they can understand anything. But for instance, the first one, I was in the Navy. So most of the time I was traveling. So it was difficult for him to continue. Claire was also very, very good, but again, he's a child, he's watching show, he's playing with most of the time with the mother, and in that school, obviously English is dominant. Faustina, I can tell her anything in Swahili, she understands. There are certain things she doesn't know, like for her, for instance, like, for instance, a baby, she knows is mtoto in Swahili, so she says toto. So, but very few times she can refer that is a baby, so she knows baby is a toto, whatever it is. That, so sometimes it's just like, I mean, banana, she can say Swahili and English. So she knows a few here and there, but it's very challenging. Yeah. As you said, if you are just only one in the house, compared to like if she's in the community, that would be helpful a little bit. Yeah. Another thing related to the children in the family. I remember Chris Rock said for him on his case, he's a comedian, his father was poor, but now he's a millionaire. So he said he has a challenge to know how to be a good father, because all what he knew as a good father is his father who didn't have money. So for instance, sometimes you ask for this kind of toy or gift, you say, no, I'm not giving you, that's why, when you say that's part of love, whatever, but now I'm a millionaire. So at what point should I say, this is yes, this is no? Kind of that, like, there are certain things kind of that. So it's also for him is a new arena compared to the son of these rich people who are coming from the rich family. So for us, we come from Africa. We were raised in a different type of lifestyle, but now we live in America. How do you get the good things from Africa and good things from the other side of America, I mean, from Africa and America, and bring to a child, and knowing that like you are doing your best job to be as a parent, to raise a child here in America?
So for us, we're really spontaneous, we are open, and we are welcoming to anything, and that I thank God for. My husband is very open and liberal. So what we do, we incorporate the two cultures together, and we just raise her the way we feel best for us. But of course, most of the things you have to be based more on the American culture because we are living here. If we were in Uganda, it would be different. But since we are here, we just have to incorporate all that and make it best for us. But I would say, personally, I have always loved children, and I've always taken care of my nieces, my nephews. So I had that kind of background with children, raising them. So once I came here and I'm all by myself, and of course with my husband and a few people all around, it is easy for me, because it's not that I'm just starting afresh. I have raised children, my sister's children, my nephews. So it is not so hard. And then of course, I'm not somebody who is so into this difficult so backward African culture things that I'm going to bring and incorporate. Oh, we are going to do this. I am so open to anything. And if it is something good that I feel it is good, we do it. And it is not different. It is just the food, the way you are treating your child. It is basic everything. I feel like even if we lived in Uganda, we would still be raising her the same way as if we were here. So we haven't had any big hurdles here and there. Apart from, of course, the fact that if you're here, you cannot hit your child, you cannot, do all these things. So people back home, if your child is behaving in a certain way, you get a stick and you're going to hit them, and you cannot do that. And of course, and I'm not that person that likes to hit children anyway. So that was easy for me to adjust to, because even at home raising my nephews, my nieces, we never really hit them or, shouted at them and threw them out of the house. That kind of hard love we did not do. So I was kind of already aware of that. And coming here, it wasn't so bad. So that's what we do. We just incorporate the two cultures and we are okay so far. We'll see in the future once she grows up. But for now, we're
she's teenager and she said, "This is my boyfriend."
That will be a different story.
Yeah, I told my wife, and I said, I have no problem. If any person comes here, I will pretend like I do not know any American culture. I say, I'm African father, you have to pay 2 cows. I will put in my list. I said, but you didn't do it for, my parents, you didn't give anything. I say, I will say I'm African. That is your parents. I have to take advantage.
It's your child, you have to do it. Yeah.
So for now, working from home, and overall in American culture is mostly staying at home most of the time. Despite Corona, everybody is inside. You go to work for a specific reason, you go out. How does working from home and plus the American culture of staying at home in general, indoor, has shaped your lifestyle to a different kind of lifestyle? How many times do you go in a week, you go out? Like even go to the store or somewhere, like to buy something, whatever.
That is an interesting question. The other day I was thinking how many hours I spend in the house, and it was shocking to me that I'd never been a time in my life where I have to be inside the house like all this time. But because of the way the weather is here, and also because I work from home, so most of the time I'm in the house. And I remember growing up, we always saw people jogging, and we thought jogging was for the rich people. I know that's funny, but we always saw foreigners, like these white people or whoever, the foreigners, expats running in the neighborhood. And I'll be like, where are they running when nobody's chasing them? I was young, but now I come to realize that, you need to go out and walk, because you're sitting on the laptop from morning to evening. You're just walking around the house. You haven't done any exercise. So that is new to me. Right now, I have to get out of the house. I time myself. I have a timer on my phone and walk around the neighborhood, something I never did at home back in Uganda, because in Uganda, walking is part of transport means. You're walking to the shop, to work, you walk to the taxi stage, you walk to meet your friend, you're always walking. There's nothing like you're going to use a car all the time. You're always walking. So because I was used to walking to the shops, walking to wherever, walking to the stage to pick a cab or a taxi. Now here, you get out of the house and you enter the car. Then you get out of the car, you enter the house. So you have limited exercise.
In the garage. You just get it from the garage, just inside the house.
Correct. And you don't have so much, so you're not walking enough. So now I know that walking was not for the rich like I thought it was.
If you have to give advice for someone, like 5 things, like these are the 5 things you have to do immediately upon arriving in America? What will those things be?
So first of all, I would say, depending on where you are, first location. Like if you are in a place where you'd need a car, first of all, look into that. Because some places, like if you live in New York, you're able to use the trains, you're able to use the buses, and that is your advantage. But in some cities, you may really need a car to go to work, to go grocery store shopping, to do anything. You may need a car. So you think about transport means. Then secondly, you need to know that here, in order to have a job, you must have a social security number. So you have to, first thing you think is register to get a social security number so that you're able to apply for employment. Otherwise, you'll be kicked out. You won't have income. Then the third one would be like looking for a job. You've settled in, you know that this is where you're going to live. You get your social security number. You go and you register for a driver's license. Then you do all these things to settle in. And if you have a car, well and good, then you begin applying for the jobs. Once you get the jobs, you just get ready. That is basically what I would say. You just prepare yourself mentally for the city or the state where you're going to live. What are the rules? What am I supposed to do to get a job? How do I drive? What are the rules? Get the book. If it is a driver's license, you can read. They always give you manuals. Read through, because here you cannot drive like you're from Africa. They're going to fine you. You're going to have so much money to pay because the robots are watching you if you're driving. So that is another thing. I think with those, if you have those, and of course you use Google if you have anything you need to find, I think you'd be good to begin life here. It wouldn't be so hard.
And the 3 things you say, never do these things if you come to America. What will those be for you if you have to advise someone?
For someone who is an immigrant like me, and you're moving from wherever you are, Europe, wherever you're coming to America, I would say you just stay out of trouble, because that is one thing. You just stay out of trouble. Follow the rules, because the law here is really, the law is there. It is not like it's like back home in Uganda where you commit a crime and you pay some money and somebody releases you. So if you avoid crime, you just do your own things. Don't overly be in people's spaces. Don't start going to the neighbors and knocking and saying hello. That won't work, because people will call police for you. So just learn the environment and settle in. You can learn by walking around and seeing how people behave. If they're saying hi and not smiling, you do the same. You just incorporate, you just learn the culture. And I think if you stay out of trouble here, you'd really be okay. Stay out of trouble, get a job, and you'll be okay.
Those are very good pieces of advice. Yeah, and speaking of trouble, some of the troubles, don't treat women like how we treat women in Africa. Don't treat children like how we treat children in Africa. Like you say, like we get used, like, okay, spanking, like the big discipline to the kids. So you do that here, you end up in jail. Yeah, so those are the things. Like, don't drive while you are just drunk, like you over. Oh, I'm just waiting for the traffic. Let me have 5 beers, and you go to drive. Those will be in so much trouble if you do those kind of things here. Do you have any last question? Any question for me?
No, I would say we've had a really good conversation, and of course I'm looking forward to another time when we can discuss more and more. There's always so much to discuss, and guys, thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate you so much. I'm looking forward to another discussion like this, to educate somebody, to enlighten people on how living in the diaspora can be, or if you're traveling or you're planning to travel here or you're planning to travel to Uganda, we just give you the little bits of how the two cultures are, and that helps you prepare mentally. It is very key to prepare mentally before you leave your motherland to live in the diaspora, because it can be a really challenging situation, especially if you don't know anyone in that particular country where you're going. So many people get depressed, and it's because they don't reach out to people, they don't seek help, and because they're just in their shells and they end up getting really depressed, they end up committing suicide. So I wouldn't want somebody to come up here and say, I didn't have anyone I would talk to. Talk to us. You can come to my page, Roll with Liz on YouTube, reach out to me. You know, just have a friend that you can talk to. It is very important.
Yeah, and people should remember to subscribe to YouTube channel. Yeah, so subscribe to the channel, share the videos to other people. Yeah, that will be something to give us more energy to continue to make all these kind of videos, to keep sharing our experiences. Thank you. Right. I believe people will be able to enjoy, and we are looking forward for more videos coming up soon.
Right.